everyone, today we're going to talk 3.6 Mexican-American War, and the objective for today is that you will be able to explain how the United States gained territory and expanded its reach across the continent. So the war in Mexico actually began in 1846 when a group of Americans were traveling westward and they overtook the New Mexico territory. We're going to talk about this map here in a second because it does a great example of showing the movement of Americans westward and how they overtook land as they went and their desire for manifest destiny. In addition to overtaking the Mexico territory, there's also a group of Americans living in California, and they were encouraged to rebel against the Mexican government because at this point in time, the Mexican government controlled parts of California. And so they were very much encouraged to do that. And part of this overtaking was called the Bear Flag Revolt. And that was what at one point in time where a group of Californians overtook the Mexican government. They established themselves as an own independent group. And the Bear Flag Revolt is actually what inspired the bear that is currently on the California flag. So if we take a look at our map here, we see first the Louisiana Purchase that we bought from France in 1803, which doubled the size of the United States. Well, what they wanted to do, or what Americans wanted to do, was they wanted to build a continental railroad. And in the process of being able to do that, they needed more land westward. And so Texas declared their independence, but eventually we annexed them as part of the United States in 1845, and they became part of the U.S. And then after the end of the Mexican War, which we're going to get to in a minute here, we gained the rest of the West, and that happened by 1848. So we started the war in 1846. Within 2 years, the war was over, and we signed what we call the Treaty of Guadalupe, and that gave us the land from the Louisiana Purchase to the West Coast. Eventually, there was another little piece of land right down here that we needed for the railroad that we ended up purchasing from Mexico a few years later in 1853 in the Gadsden Purchase. And so this is what eventually led to what looks like our current day United States, the borders, after winning the after winning the Mexican-American War. So we had the Treaty of Guadalupe, and that's the painting that you see here. And the Treaty of Guadalupe is what ended the Mexican-American War. And it ended on February 2nd of 1848. We purchased it we ended up paying Mexico $15 million for the land. And the border was going to be the Rio Grande, which it still serves as today. And then finally, a few years later, in 1853, we had the Gadsden Purchase. And the Gadsden Purchase, let me spell Gadsden wrong. We purchased for $10 million. And that was the small part of land to complete the Transcontinental Railroad. And actually, let's see if I can't make that a little bit smaller so you guys can see that a little bit better. There we go. Okay. So that was the Treaty of Guadalupe. Here we have a painting that represents the Treaty of Guadalupe and the American forces and the Mexican forces signing a peace agreement.